Hey, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, drop a like on my video, and share it on social media. Thanks. Man suspected of fatally shooting a Patriot Prayer supporter in Portland said the incident was totally justified before he was killed by the authorities. That's not a hyperbolic, inflammatory title to an article at all, is it? This is Michael Reinoehl. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. It looks like it might be Dutch or something. Reinoehl. I don't know how to pronounce his name. This is the guy that, if you haven't heard, he walked up to a person wearing a Make America Great Again hat in Portland and shot him in the head twice. Or shot him somewhere twice. I've seen the footage. You can find the footage. I will link to the footage below. But this is ridiculous because the police went to arrest this guy and he fought back and shot at them. So they shot him. If you shoot at the police, you're gonna get shot at. If you were to shoot at me and I had a gun and you didn't hit me, it's a good chance I'm gonna shoot back. I mean, I might run away instead, but yeah, this is just more ridiculous garbage. Let's see what the article has to say. Michael Reinoehl, who is suspected of fatally shooting a member of the right-wing Patriot Prayer group in Portland, Oregon on Saturday, spoke to a freelance journalist before he was killed by law enforcement officers. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about him being in a shootout, but he was in a shootout. The video later shared with Vice News, Reinoehl told the journalist that the shooting death of Aaron Danielson, who was taking part in a caravan supporting President Donald Trump put on by Patriot Prayer, was totally justified. No, it wasn't. In this country, you're not allowed to murder people for their political affiliation. It's called freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of expression. So you're not allowed to actually hurt anybody for that. And the reason this is an important law that we have is because this allows us to debate out the ideas and come to a conclusion on what is the best idea. If you do not have that, you push ideas into the shadows, you push them into the underground, they fester, and they become a big problem. Had I not acted, I am confident that my friend, and I'm sure I, would have been killed. I wasn't going to stand there and let something happen, he said. It's two men that approach each other, and then he shoots him. Reinoehl was later killed by federal agents as they tried to arrest him. All right. The man suspected of fatally shooting a member of the right-wing Patriot Prayer group in Portland, Oregon on Saturday defended his actions, calling the incident totally justified. In an interview that took place before he was killed by authorities on Thursday night, Michael Reinoehl, suspected of shooting Aaron Danielson, who was taking part in a caravan supporting President Donald Trump put on by Patriot Prayer, spoke to a freelance journalist in a video later shared by Vice News. Before his death on Thursday, Reinoehl, a 48-year-old Army veteran and father of two, told freelance journalist Donovan Farley that he had been providing security for Black Lives Matter protesters. That night, Danielson was fatally shot. Okay, then. All right. He said he was acting in self-defense when he shot Danielson and thought he and his friend might be stabbed or maced. Then run away. You know, it's really hard for somebody to stab me if I'm not like within 5 feet of them. Really, I can get away from somebody pretty fast. And this guy, he runs from the scene. You can see him running from the scene. He runs pretty dang fast. It was totally justified, Reinoehl told Farley. Had I not acted, I'm confident that my friend and I'm sure I would have been killed. No, you wouldn't have been. You're not confident of that. Even if you shoot somebody, they don't necessarily die. I wasn't going to stand there and let something happen. Bystander footage from the incident shows a man appearing to be Reinoehl shooting Danielson and walking away from the scene. Reinoehl did not turn himself into police and was later killed in an encounter with Federal Fugitive Task Force, according to the New York Times. You know, lots of lawyers suggest that I shouldn't have been saying anything, but I feel it's important. that the world at least gets a little bit of what's really going on. Reinoehl told Farley before his death, I had no choice. I was really wrong. Sorry about my dyslexia. I had no choice. I had no choice. I could have sat there and watched them kill a friend of mine of color, but I wasn't going to do that. Yeah. Reinoehl described himself as 100% Antifa. Oh, so we know they're a peaceful organization on his Instagram. And had previously been involved with protest conflicts. On July 5th, he was cited for allegedly having a loaded gun in public. And then on July 26th, Reinoehl was shot in the elbow during a confrontation between himself and a gun-carrying man named Aaron Scott Collins. Protests have been ongoing in Portland since May 25th death of George Floyd, who was killed by police in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when an officer knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. Yeah, and he was also under the influence of deadly drugs, was in poor health, and fought the police. So let's not forget those few details about the George Floyd incident. Not saying that the police did their job correctly, because I don't think they did. They certainly manhandled him quite a bit, but yeah, he's partly to blame there at least. What else we got? Anything else here? Let's see. What does he say here? Okay. Before he was killed by officers, an activist described shooting a Trump supporter in Portland as like the beginning of a war. Yes, you're insane. The war has already started. This is not the beginning of the... You think that this is you starting the war against Donald Trump, against the right wing? This is an insane person talking, saying those things. This is not a sane person who goes, yeah, I'm gonna kill this random person in the street, and that's gonna be the beginning of the war. No, the beginning of the war is like killing a prince, killing a political appointee. It's not killing a random person in the street. The man suspected of fatally killing a right-wing demonstrator during protests in Portland, Oregon, said, "I saw a civil war right around the corner." No, you didn't. The footage is very clear. There is nothing going on. There is nothing going on. Michael Reinoehl discusses the shooting of Aaron Danielson, a supporter of a pro-Trump group, in an interview published by Vice News. He said the shot felt like the beginning of a war. Not long after the interview was broadcast, Reinoehl was killed by law enforcement officers as they moved to arrest him. A man suspected of fatally shooting one of President Donald Trump's supporters during protests in Portland, Oregon, said that he saw a civil war right around the corner, and that one of the shots felt like the beginning of a war. Okay, he did fire the gun twice. I guess I'm not sure. It's poorly written. Michael Reinoehl was named in connection with the death of Aaron Danielson in Portland on Saturday night. Federal agents tried to arrest him late Thursday, ending with Reinoehl's death. Witnesses said they saw Reinoehl shoot before the officers returned fire, though authorities did not immediately confirm that. He had earlier given an interview discussing the killing of Danielson, which was broadcast on Vice. "Honestly, I hate to say it, but I see a civil war right around the corner," he said. That shot felt like the beginning of a war. Okay, this person is insane. Some people say this is already a civil war. I say this is a race war. Some people have told me, or I've heard some people claim this is not a race war because it's not about race. They're saying that's, look, you see white people supporting black people supporting white people. It's not about race, blah, blah, blah. It is about race. All of this is happening because of race. This is all happening because of race. Okay? This is 100% happening because people think that the police are out there trying to hunt down and kill black people. Sounds like that's because of race to me. There's also people out there who believe that all white people are out to kill black people. There's also people out there that believe that all white people are inherently racist and they cannot get away from their racism, period. There's also people out there that believe that America is an inherently racist country and it can't get away from its racism, period. Everything is about race. It's all about like, oh, we're doing this all because of race. Nobody's talking about the trans community anymore. Nobody's talking about homosexuals anymore. There's some people still talking about single mothers. That's still happening. People are only talking about this in conjunction with race. Okay, this is the beginning of the race war. It's going to be mixed up. It's going to be seriously mixed up because we have mixed families all over the country. So you're never going to have like all of one race fighting all of another race. It's not going to happen in this country. But this is about race. This is all being brought to a head because of race. In the interview, Reinoehl said he was acting in self-defense and believed that he and a friend were about to be stabbed. Then run away. He told the interviewer, "You know, lots of lawyers suggested that I shouldn't be saying anything. I feel it's important that the world at least gets a little bit of what's going on. I had no choice. I had no choice. I could have sat there and watched him kill a friend of mine of color, but I wasn't going to do that." Reinoehl was under police investigation over the killing of Danielson, a supporter of the far-right Patriot group Patriot Prayer, who was taking part in a pro-Trump demonstration in the city. Reinoehl said in his interview that he saw the Patriot Prayer protest as threatening. Vice News said Reinoehl spoke with freelance reporter who shared the conversation with Vice. "I'm seeing all these vehicles with hatred, people in the backs of trucks yelling and screaming and swinging bats and sticks at protesters. They are just standing there yelling at them," Reinoehl said. "That where? Where did you see that?" "We see the footage. There are hardly any vehicles around," Reinoehl. "And the vehicles that are there appear to be following the laws of traffic, and most of them are cars, and they don't have people swinging bats, and you're the only one yelling." He said, "We went to help a friend who was surrounded by trucks with armed pro-Trump protesters. I saw someone that is a dear and close friend of mine in the movement by himself, basically confronting all these vehicles," he said. Where? There's one vehicle near you in the footage. One vehicle. He continued, "And so I let him know that I'm here. Parked my vehicle and joined up with him. Found myself in the intersection in front of the food trucks surrounded by trucks and cars that had weapons." That doesn't exist. There are no cars with weapons that we can see in the footage. He said a man threatened to stab him and another protester. Had I stepped forward, he said I would have maced or stabbed. He would have maced or stabbed me. Reynolds said he was confident that I did not hit anyone innocent and I made my accident. No. The 17-year-old kid in Kenosha knows the correct answer. Once you defend yourself with a firearm, you go to the police. He's 17, you figure that. You're 48 and you don't know that? Bystander video shows a man resembling Reinoehl fire 2 shots at Danielson and walk away. Reinoehl said he did not turn himself into police because he thought the police were collaborating with right-wing protesters and would not protect him. Yeah, I'm sure you probably believe that because you're insane. Whether you actually believe that or not doesn't really matter. You still killed somebody. You cold-blooded killed somebody. We have the footage. So protests have taken place in Portland since George Floyd was killed by the police in Minneapolis in late May, sparking protests in the U.S. and around the world. Those protests have often spilled into violence, particularly when protesters have clashed with right-wing groups and Trump supporters. This is not true. There are not protests that are happening. There are some protests happening, but this is looting and rioting just because people don't care. And we see them looting and rioting. We see them looting stores that are owned by black people. We see them just demolishing, rioting against stores that are owned by black people and people of color. It has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. It has to do with people wanting to be jerks. The New York Times reported that Reinoehl had regularly protested in recent weeks and acted as a kind of security guard. So I apologize. At this point, my audio changes drastically. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I didn't want to re-record this because I was speaking off the cuff and it would be difficult for me to go through and transcribe all of this and then read it and get the same inflection and all that stuff. Hopefully this doesn't happen anymore. I'll just have to get a higher quality microphone in the future. Randall McCorkle another protester told the Times that nightly he would break up fights. Reese Munson, a Portland protester leader who helps organize the protest security, said Reinoehl was trained in de-escalation and was excellent at it. The Times reported that Reinoehl said on Instagram in June that I am 100% Antifa all the way, aligning himself with a group Trump has blamed for most violence that has broken out amid protest against police brutality. Yes, this is true. And again, it's not against police brutality. It's about race. Police brutality is part of that, but it's a much bigger picture than that. If Reinoehl is 100% Antifa all the way, well, they're violent. They're a violent extremist group. They don't even know what fascism is. They think that fascism and racism are the same thing. They're not. They're very different things. Antifa is short for anti-fascist, is a leaderless organization that opposes groups it sees as fascist. It's not a leaderless organization. Do some research. Antifa has leaders. They have individual chapters. They don't have an overarching leader. They have individual chapters that have leaders. Their overarching leader is actually going to be BLM one day. Just wait and see. I'm willing to fight for my brothers and sisters, Reinoehl wrote, even if some of them are too ignorant to realize what Antifa truly stands for. We do not want violence, but we will not run from it either. Then how come you're killing people? You're shooting people in the street. How come Antifa is burning down buildings? We have people on the ground at these riots, and they see what Antifa is doing. They're instigating this. It's well known. People come out of these riots and they say, yeah, Antifa was doing it all. They were attacking people, burning down buildings. There's plenty of videos of Antifa attacking people. And you can find, probably just do a YouTube search of Antifa attacking people, and you'll see. I watched one video of Antifa, a group of hundreds of Antifa, chasing down one man. And he kept saying, I'm a reporter. I'm not here to do anything against anybody. I just want to get the story. So, this is not true. The Antifa is about violence. Antifa is a violent extremist group. They are terrorists. They are trying to change the United States through violence. And changing the United States is not necessarily wrong or bad. Going about it through violence, unfortunately, is an effective way of doing it often. Not the nicest way of doing it, not the moral way of doing it, but this is the path they've chosen to take instead of talking. Because they are misinformed. They think that, like I said, the United States was founded on racism. We invented racism in 1619. Look up 1619 movement, or what's it called? The 1619, I don't remember. So look up 1619, and you'll find all sorts of stuff about how America is racist. And they think that there has been no concessions given to black people ever. But that's not true. There have been all sorts of concessions given to black people, to people of color. You're free to wander the streets and do whatever you want to do in this country. It doesn't matter what race you are. As long as you're not breaking the law, you can do whatever you want to do. Are the police perfect? No. Do they sometimes arrest or attack somebody who doesn't deserve it? Yes, that happens. The thing is we keep highlighting when it's the police versus a black person, or especially when it's a white person versus a black person. It's not about racism. It's about somebody acting like a fool. Yeah, sure, sometimes there's racism involved. But that's like by far the minority. At least when it's coming from white people towards other races. White people are like extraordinarily not racist. When it comes down to it. I've met some white people who talk a big game. But they don't act on that. They just talk about it. So this is just more media lying. This is all media lies. It's all media lies. It's just like they're lying about what happened. with Kyle Rittenhouse. Everybody's saying that he's a cold-blooded murderer, stone cold murderer. He was being attacked by people that were shooting at him. They were attacking him, and he defended himself with a gun. And he went there to cause trouble. He was there for work. What's he doing out of? I used to live in Illinois, and I used to work out of state because I lived near the border, not near the Wisconsin border, near a different border. But I used to work out of state. I had how many jobs there out of state? At least four. I think of at least 4 jobs that I had in a different state. It's not that uncommon. In fact, I now know, with the way Illinois is going, a lot of the people that are working in Illinois, in the community I'm from, are living in the other state. The reason they're doing that is because the taxes are all messed up in Illinois right now. And people are leaving Illinois. Its population is dropping because the state's messed up. So people will come over and they earn this money at these big companies in Illinois, and then they go back to their home state that doesn't have as strong of, well, economic roots, we'll put it that way, because Illinois had a lot of strong economic roots back in the past. A lot of industry and agriculture that came together in Illinois. So yeah, this is just more media exaggeration, more media hyperbole. They are one-sided on this all the way. I don't understand it. It's like, you're supposed to be neutral. You're supposed to be neutral. Did Aaron Danielson threaten Michael Reinoehl? Maybe he did. And maybe Michael Reinoehl felt that his life was in danger. You have a gun. You don't need to pull the trigger. You simply pull the gun. As soon as somebody pulls a gun on me, that's it. I'm done. What do you want? I'm out of here. Or else, if it's the authorities, then, hands are up. I am not aggressing towards you. I am a cooperative suspect. I have no intentions of hurting anybody. That's all you have to do is draw the gun. People back up, right? People back off. Just the threat of a gun. If you just see a gun, oh, there's a person with a gun right there. Maybe I don't mess with that guy. So he's an extremist. He was going out to kill someone. That was his intent. His intent was not defense. His intent was not security. His intent was to kill someone. He even says, starting a civil war. The shot felt like he was starting a civil war. Oh yeah, it felt like the beginning of a war. Yeah, it's the beginning where you started the civil war. You did it. Those shots fired. This person is not sane. He's not healthy. Okay? He has emotional problems. A lot of anger that he decided to take out on Aaron Danielson. So, that's all I got for right now. I'll probably see you again soon with all that's going on in the world. So, have a good one.